This is a great setup here.
Yeah, it's fun. How's your putting?
It's in transition.
Well, like everybody else, I've tried all kinds of, putting styles, but, it comes back to just, consistency, trying to hit it. All right. Thank you very much for coming. You're up.
Annika, thank you so much for being with us today. You've had such an incredible career. 90 worldwide wins, 72 wins on the LPGA, 11 majors, 8 Rolex Players of the Year, 6 VAR trophies for lowest average scoring. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. Congratulations on an incredible career. I want to roll the clock back and, where did it start? Tell us about the sort of early days growing up and some of the early influences in your life.
Well, first of all, thank you, Lawrence, for having me. I am happy to share a little bit about my childhood, and I'm from Stockholm, Sweden. There is an accent somewhere. Just my parents were into different kinds of sports. My mom was, she had a little track and field. My dad did a lot of handball, but I was introduced to the sport early. Really wasn't that interested. I felt like it was a slow sport. I wanted a little bit more action because I played soccer, I played tennis, I did downhill skiing. I mean, everything, pretty much with the ball I've done. So, but golf was a place where we would go out as a family. I would get ice cream. I have a younger sister when we would pull carts and just kind of hang out. But I wasn't really interested in playing the sport. But going to school, I started to be a chemical engineer, and I realized that that's probably not something I wanted to do. So I took my golf a little bit more seriously. I quit all the other sports at the age of 16 and just told my dad, I just want to try golf. And it's amazing how much better you get when you focus on one sport than trying to do all the other sports. And then I was lucky to get a scholarship to University of Arizona. I was 19 then, and then literally got on a plane, 2 suitcases and a golf bag, and here I am.
What was it like to move to the U.S., and was there a sort of an adjustment period? But I think you won your freshman year NCAA
I did,
championship.
Yeah.
So I guess there wasn't much of an adjustment.
Coming to America and Tucson especially, I mean, it was golf 24/7. I mean, there was beautiful weather, beautiful golf courses, great competition. And so I got to play, so much more. I went to school in the morning, and afternoon it was, out to the course, practice. So I practiced a lot, and I got better and better.
Though I also think that a lot of people probably don't realize that you were actually pretty shy growing up. As a younger golfer, because of your shyness, you would miss putts late in a round to avoid having to give the victory speech. How did you clearly got over that in spades. How did you tackle that?
So junior golf in Sweden, they always want the winner to just give some winning remarks. I mean, very simple, but still it just terrified me. It made me really nervous to be in front of my peers and the parents and, the club officials or whatever. So I figured, if I miss a few shots coming down the stretch, I'll still get a prize if you finish second or third. I never really shared it with my parents until they were always wondering, like, what's up with our girl? Why is she messing up? She's playing so solid for 16 holes, and then the wheels come off. And so what they did is they decided, or they called it the following tournament, and they talked to the tournament director, and they said, hey, can you just make sure Annika says something? And I said, well, I didn't win, so I don't have to give a winning speech. And they said, we know, but we like to hear from you. And you can imagine the panic I had. And my dad said, just grab your 7-iron, squeeze it as hard as you want, and just say something like, I'd rather have my clubs do the talking. And so I did, and that was then I realized that was it. Like, why have I had this fear of this thing? And then that's kind of broke the ice for me. And since then, I haven't really missed on purpose.
Yeah, well, you haven't missed general. So when did you get the sense that there was something really special happening in your golf game?
Well, I mean, I never really thought about that, is because it's, when it's you, I just wanted to be a good player. I just wanted to be, I really wanted to know how good can I get? I wanted to reach my full potential. I knew I've done statistics pretty much my whole life. My dad, he would send me to computer camps in the summer where I'd rather be outside playing golf, but he said, I want you to learn this computer thing because this is going to be the future. So I would write DOS programs in my computer class, and everybody was writing video games. And I remember I created a spreadsheet. I literally had to write it from the beginning before you could buy the software. And I started to track my scores, just very basics, of course. But It was, score and then par and then, how many fairways, how many greens, So then I got kind of interested in, and I still analyzed my game from the very beginning. I started in 86, 87 when I was 16, 17 years old, and I've kept track since then. And so it was like, because I'm a number person, so it's like, well, that's kind of how I gauged my game. So that was how I motivated myself to get better. And then I put a plan together. If I lead in every category, I don't think anybody can beat me. So I had these internal motivators that pushed me. And I kind of enjoyed that journey to see if I could do it or not.
The hard work paid off over the career, but it particularly paid off on March 16th of 2001 at Moon Valley Country Club, where you shot a 59. The first and only woman to have broken 60 in a competitive tournament. Maybe talk about that. That's such an incredible accomplishment. What was that like? And on the last handful of holes, were you aware of where you were in the process, and how was that affecting your thinking?
Thank you. Yeah, of course, it's one of my highlights when people say, when you look at your career, what stands out? And that day, I started out, with 4 birdies in a row. I remember turning to my caddy, Terry. I said, Terry, how many birdies in a row have you seen? And he said, well, I've seen 4 before. And I said, you know what? I've made 6. I know I can make 6 birdies in a row. So I birdie 5, I birdie 6, I birdie 7, and I birdie 8. So now I'm literally 8 under after 8. And of course, as a golfer, we start thinking a lot. You have 10 holes left, and you have this hole coming up. So I went to the 9th tee box, and I turned to Terry. I said, hey, I'm so nervous, I need to make a par. And he's like, okay. So I hit the fairway, hit the green, I 2-putt, and I make par. So I'm 8 under after 9, and we go over to the 10th hole, and all of a sudden I feel great again. I'm not nervous, and I'm ready for more birdies. And he's like, okay. So I birdie 10, 11, 12, and 13. So I'm now 12 under, and now it starts to, now I start to think even more like, oh, this and the history and all the things that come with it. And everybody was coming now. We started out with, 10 people watching, and then you went from 10 to 20, 20 to 200, and now it was like thousands of people, and the cameras. It was like, so then I got a little nervous, but I was able to hold on to it. I birdied my 17th hole, so I was 13 under going into 18. Obviously, the adrenaline was pumping like crazy. I got on the green, and I had like a 10, 11 footer for birdie, and 2-putted from there. And like you said, I was 13 under, the first woman, and still the only one to shoot 59 on a 72 par hole. So, I didn't get to 54, but I got to 59. And I think that just, to me, proves that, just by pushing yourself, you can get to new levels that I've not, seen before, by putting the efforts and really believing it in your mind. In my mind, I've already shot 54 in my mind. So I think just that's the power of the mind, and in golf, just be able to, stay focused on a task.
So we've been talking a lot about the incredible success you've had in your career, but life isn't always successful. Can you talk about or share maybe something that was less successful and what you did to overcome that?
Yeah, you're totally right. There's no such thing as a straight line in life. But I'm a believer that, these turns and bumps in the road I think they're meant to be there for you to learn something or appreciate something or just make you grow. We mentioned a little bit about being shy. That was something that I had to overcome. But yeah, whether it's, going to the US, being by yourself, feeling very lonely, being at the top, being the best player in the world, and just hearing all the whispers behind your back, and women in general in business, they can be pretty hard on others. Feeling a lot of backstabbing, but also being a woman in the sports industry, opportunities, prize money, a woman in golf course design. When you feel like you're not necessarily an outcast, but it's like very rare and very, it's not, you don't really become the talk of some of these conversations. And there's several times I'm feeling like, you know what, I know a little bit about this. Does it matter, what gender you are? And I remember in my Hall of Fame, Golf World Hall of Fame, I was inducted in 2003, and the speech I said was, I just wanted to be recognized as a golfer.
So let's touch on that. You competed in the Colonial, and when you did, you were the first woman, I think, in 53 years who had competed in an event on the PGA, which was incredible. Let's fast forward that to what you talked about at your Hall of Fame speech to where we are today. There's a lot of interest in women's sports and investing in women's sports. Where do you think we are with equality in golf and in sports generally at this point?
I think we made some great strides, no doubt about it. It doesn't matter who it is. It's more merit-based and how you do that. And I remember practicing with Tiger. I worked as hard as he did. Yeah, can I hit a 3, whatever? Can I get as much club head speed? No. There's obviously a fist, but
sure.
But you push to your own potential, whatever. I always tell people, work hard to shoot your 59.
So you and Mike started the Annika Foundation. What's the thrust there? What are your goals and objectives with that?
Yeah, the mission is really just to empower and advance young women through golf into life. So that's kind of what we do. When I started 18 years ago, I want to say it was less than 20% of all juniors in America that were girls playing. And now we're up to like 38%, so which is a great thing.
That's fantastic.
But also, there's more work to be done, right? Again, but it's using golf as a platform, having fun, being active, and then of course, as you know, being in the business world, a lot of female that are in C-suites today, they have a sports background because sports is good for you, and I feel like golf is, we have a role to play there.
Right. Well, as a father of 3 girls, I'm hoping that that we see more of that equality over time, generally in sports. So you retired, interestingly, I think just 2 days after you won the Michelob Ultra Open. So you were clearly still competing at the very high, highest point in the game. What drove the retirement, and do you have any regrets about retiring so early?
I do not, to answer that question first. I did not. I was, 37 at the time. Okay. And I'd been a professional for 17 years. And normally my goals were just, I had thousands of goals. I just wrote them down and boom, 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 boom. And it would be so natural. And then this year I wasn't hungry for anything. I felt like I'd achieved everything I wanted. And I thought, well, a major. And it wasn't not even exciting to me. And winning tournaments wasn't exciting. And it was like, well, I just literally looked in the mirror and said, what do you want to do with your golf? If you don't have any goals, how are you going to motivate yourself to go out there, work hard 8 hours a day and travel, 260 days a year? It's just not going to work. And I realized that when I was practicing, my mind was more on some of the businesses that I was getting involved with. It was golf course design. I had some ideas on a foundation, nothing concrete, but it was just, I found that really fascinating. I was kind of building something new, and I had a clothing line, and I was thinking more about, color scheme and cuts. And so instead of being, hitting balls and my mind is focused on tempo or the grip, I was thinking more, okay, what should my logo look like? And so I was like, it was more the reality, hit me like, this is not what I want to do anymore. And I think I was happy. I was like, I've achieved everything I wanted. I think the timing was right. And I tell people all this time, some things you just feel it. You just know inside, whether it's your instinct or whether it's your heart or your mind. And that was it. And I haven't looked back since.
So you've played golf your whole life, this incredible sea of talent in the women's game and the men's game. If you could play one more round of golf, who would be in your foursome?
Who would be in my foursome? It's you're right. This game has taken me many places. I've been lucky to play a lot of the bucket list courses. I would just love to play with, You know, my husband and my 2 kids, there's nothing better. Golf, it just means more family to me now than going out there and saying I want to play with, you know, a certain player. I just cherish the moments so much and the memories.
You retired, and then you decided to come back and play in the U.S. Senior Open in 2021, which you won after 13 years of not. How did you do that? That's incredible.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I played extremely well. I was just excited to be there. The kids were there. My husband, Mike, was on the bag. And it was just one of the most fulfilling weeks because obviously a different person. I played for a different purpose. And it was a family thing. So when we walked down the 18th, I almost choking up, but I felt like it was for us.
Yeah. Well, you talk about choking up, the smile on your face when you play with your son in the parent-child events, it's just incredible. That must be an unbelievable experience to get to play with Will.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, especially because golf just has such a big place in our lives. And so now to see Will have a passion for the sport and wanting to do it on his own, I mean, it's totally authentic. This is what he wants to do. But then for us to do it together, it's been a really neat opportunity.
Yeah. So I have one more question for you. In a lot of ways, like, life is simpler than we all try to make it. I think a lot of what we need to know to be successful in life, we learned as 5-year-olds with our parents. Work hard, tell the truth, share your things. And I think it's powerful to have sort of a simplifying philosophy in your life. Do you have a philosophy in your life that helps simplify things for you?
There's no shortcut to success. My dad told me that a long time ago. I was 14 or 15, and I was hitting balls, and it started to rain, and it was cold and windy. I was miserable, I thought. So I called my dad. I said, hey, can you pick me up? And of course, he picked me up and we drove away, and I could see, and he could see, that there were some other kids hitting balls on the range. And I knew then that if I wanted to go somewhere with my golf, just because it's raining, I can't go inside. It's the same thing if you do something else. If something is not working out, you can't just throw in the towel and go in, or quit, or give up. And so I think that to me was an important part. And that's just not golf. That's just schoolwork. Friendships, relationships, and being a mom. There are no shortcuts. And the other one is face my fear. A few times I've written under my hat, not today, but face my fear, the things I feel uncomfortable with. And I was leading. I'm in the last group. I want to win, but I just felt very anxious and very nervous about my performance. And I wrote face the fear here, and nobody could see it, but I would kind of go like this, just reminding myself to handle a situation I didn't feel comfortable with. And that had made me stronger, giving me a lot of confidence. So I don't turn my back on things. And then if I decide to do something, I know there's no shortcuts to it.
Yeah, that's an incredible way to end. Thank you so much,
thank
Annika.
you.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.